Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name's Ford from Son of a Stitch, and this week I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know so that you no longer have to be afraid of the dark. Dark fabric, that is. A thing we're seeing more and more often with this new modern wave of cross-stitch designs is patterns that are designed to be stitched on black fabric. There are a lot of really cool and interesting things being done these days, and I've done a fair number of projects on dark colored or black fabric myself, like this one I'm working on right now that's one of my own designs. But working on dark or black fabric presents its own special challenges because it does become harder to see. So I have a few tips that I use to help make sure that I can see what I'm doing and get the best quality outcome. The first is something that I talk about all the time, which is having adequate lighting. Trying to stitch in low light or with poor quality light can make it really difficult to see what you're doing. So having some additional lighting to help shed light on your project can really help. I've shown you the book light that I frequently use while stitching. It just clips onto my hoop and then hangs up over it. So that makes it a lot easier to see. But with dark fabric, it creates an extra special challenge because it gets hard to see the holes in the fabric and to bring your needle up through them. So most of the special things that I do for dark fabric are kind of centered around being able to see from the back, not see from the front. So one of the things I'll do is I'll use that book light, but I'll shine it half on the front and half on the back of my project. I don't have it with me today or I'd show you what I'm talking about. But there are a number of other things that I do as well. One big thing is to put something white behind the project while I'm working. So I'll use a piece of mat board or foam core board, or really even just a light colored towel or blanket on my lap, and it makes it a lot easier to see. So you can see here, I'm having trouble seeing through that fabric, but as soon as I put something light colored behind it, I can see where my finger is, which makes it a lot easier to find that location to bring my needle back up. Another thing that really helps is when using your hoop, gather up your excess fabric. I use a needle minder or a number of other tools to make sure that my excess fabric stayed gathered up, because when it's hanging down around the side, it blocks the light from coming in and again makes it harder to see what's behind the fabric. So having the excess fabric around the edges of my hoop gathered up makes it a lot more easy to see. And another thing that I found really helpful, though it's a little bit more specialized, is a ball tip needle. There's such a thing as a ball point needle, which is an embroidery needle, and that's a little bit different from what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can show you here. So this is your typical tapestry needle there, and it's got a blunt tip. But this is the ball tip needle. And you can see that that comes almost to a point, but then there is a little ball or sphere right on the tip of it. You can see I've actually used this one so much that I've worn most of the finish off on it. But the nice thing about the ball tip needle for working on black fabric for me is that because it has that little sphere on the tip, it makes it a lot easier to see where it is when I bring it up through the surface of the fabric. So that makes it easier for me to spot where it is, because the hardest part for me with working with black fabric is finding the point to bring the needle back towards the surface of the fabric. So that little sphere that's on the very tip of the needle means that it'll catch light that comes from any direction instead of it having to be from a specific direction, and just makes it easier for me to find my needle when trying to locate it from behind. I want to take just a second to remind you to join the Caterpillar Cross Stitch VIP Stitch Club. When you join, you'll get an ebook with 8 free PDF cross-stitch patterns in it, plus a cool new year-long temperature tracking pattern. You'll also get a digital download of our top 10 cross-stitching tips and all of the latest Caterpillar cross-stitch news, including advance notice anytime there's going to be a new retreat so that you can get your tickets before they sell out. So hit the link down there in the description to make sure that you don't miss any of that. Now, putting something light colored or white behind your project is a very common piece of advice that people will give on this topic, but you know me, and I am extra, so if I can have something that works better, even if it seems a little bit over the top to other people, you know I'm going to go for it. So let me show you what I use for that. This is a light pad or a tracing table. So just being white, it already helps a lot. I can see really well where the holes are on the fabric. But if I turn the backlight on it, it makes it amazing. And it's so much easier to see where I'm putting my needle from behind the fabric. And I really, really love it. Now I use it at its lowest brightness setting. If I turn it up too high, it actually starts to become a barrier to vision because it kind of blinds me and I can't see the front anymore. So I usually use it on its lowest setting. When I'm out and about or not near an electrical outlet in my home, I will power that off of the little battery pack that's meant to charge a phone, because this just uses a USB power source. So it's really quite convenient in that way as well. You can get these pretty inexpensively. This particular one's a little bit spendy, but there are much cheaper ones available, and I'll put some links in the description for you. Now, I love sharing my cross-stitch knowledge with people on YouTube, but there are tons of other ways that people learn about cross-stitch, and one of the best ones is with mutual online communities, things like the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Facebook group and Instagram. Go and join that group and follow that Instagram. There's a tremendous wealth of knowledge available there to help you step up your cross-stitching game. Now, if you don't want to have a piece of specialized equipment like that, something that you already have will probably work pretty well. One possible option for that is just to use your phone. Take a picture of something white like a sheet of paper, and then you can use that as a backlit source so that you can see through the fabric. You can use a tablet or a laptop screen or like a Nintendo Switch or something in this way as well, and it's really, really convenient. And then you already have it and you don't have to get an extra piece of equipment. So that's another really great way to do this. So those are my top tips for working with black fabric, and I've done it quite a bit, and those are the things that have made the biggest difference for me. Is there something you feel like I missed, or some other little tip that you think other viewers might benefit from? Put it in the comments down below. While you're there, hit that little like button and subscribe to the channel. That's how my performance is tracked, and I would really appreciate it if you did. Other than that, I do want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I will see you next time.